decade are we in? Because more than 6,000 kindergartners, that's around 9% of all of the kindergartners in public schools in 2023 weren't vaccinated against measles, mumps, rubella, and polio, I'm reading. So these are highly contagious, potentially deadly viruses. In St. Louis, Missouri, that number is closer to 25%, shockingly. And just to be clear, one last thing. According to the Missouri Department of Health, vaccination rates are even worse for private schools, dude. So what is up?
Of course, it's not surprising, but it is terrifying. And we had nearly eliminated these horrible diseases in our country because of vaccines. Thanks entirely to vaccines, we had nearly eliminated them. And we're starting to see them come back because of this, because people aren't vaccinating, because they've bought into conspiracy theories, frankly, about vaccines that don't have evidence. They just don't. They have, spotty things here and there. But again, back to this peer-reviewed science conversation, there is a difference between some guy that says he's a scientist and did a study and a study that has been peer-reviewed and gone through the vetting of the scientific community. And right now, it seems like a lot of our population just doesn't see the difference between those two things. And so they see one scientist on TikTok or Twitter or wherever else, and this guy says that vaccines cause all these terrible things. Well, that means there's two sides to this conversation, right? So both sides, there's disagreement. So now I don't know. Rather than we should defer to, the peer-reviewed community of experts, like the entire American Physicians Association or any of these other large associations of experts in each field. The more we ignore them, the more we put our kids at danger. They keep trying to pass bills to make it even easier to not have a vaccine or to not vaccinate your kids. That's why our numbers have gone up. They've broadened the exemptions for kids that don't have to get vaccines.
I do want to mention, though, that some of these exemptions are really important, okay? So there are some people, kids specifically, with other health conditions,
true,
right?
true.
They can't be vaccinated against things like polio
yes.
or measles, mumps, rubella. Okay, you
right.
are putting them at risk.
Right.
If you are not, and this is part of the thing that worries me even more. I mean, yes, the numbers continue to climb, and there's no reason to think that they're not going to continue to climb, which is a little terrifying. But I think it's not just that. It's also, it says something about us right now as a society, that there's a significant amount of us that aren't willing to make a small little concession,
right,
with a little bit of risk to protect the most vulnerable among us.